be good to go. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. Happy Friday, everybody. So good to see all of you in the building. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to get into Kelsey Fitzsimmons taking home the win. And it seemed like the judge knew all along that this was going to be the case. We're also going to get to many other different stories that are happening around Fulton County here in Georgia, as well as getting into an update with Taylor Frankie Paul. Crazy situation there. We've got some breaking news when it comes to what's going on with the elections as well. Y'all know we've been covering that at length. So we're going to get into it and finish off the week strong. So thank you to everyone who's in the building. Let me say what's up to all the amazing people who make the show the amazing place that it is. Shout out to my beautiful, awesome, amazing Amy E is in the building doing what she does. Y'all know, be amazing. If you could, please make sure y'all go and follow and check out what Amy's got going on over on X, specifically at IAmyLee on X, and show her some love. We got Les Cleavers in the building. A Fitz is back at it as well. Good morning to all of y'all. And I will be saying good morning and what's up to some of you as we go throughout the show as well. So make sure if you haven't yet, please say what's up in the chat so I can say good morning and good afternoon to you all. Also, if you haven't yet liked the video, likes are free, guys. It helps the channel out so much. It takes less than a second to do, and I know you're going to have a good time here on the show, have some great conversations, and also it helps the algorithm and lets the algorithm know that you guys are enjoying the show, and it shares the video and this live stream you're watching right now with more people. You can also hit the share button if you're feeling extra generous. You can actually share the video out on any social media platform you're on, and even via text message. So thank you to those of you who do that, as well as in addition to those of you that send super chats. We will be reading super chats that are sent on the show. So thank you all for your major support. And I know so many of you have been supporting and donating in that way and keeping the lights on here in the show. So thank y'all so much for the love. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Again, y'all, please make sure you like the video. It's free and it helps us out a lot. Let's go ahead and get into this Kelsey Fitzsimmons trial. Man, it's been great and interesting watching this Kelsey Fitzsimmons trial. Sad that it has to go on, but thank God Kelsey Fitzsimmons is still with us, because the judge has made a decision in this case and found that Kelsey Fitzsimmons is not guilty. Congratulations to Kelsey. And we've got to replay and get into what the judge had to say when he made his decision. This was a little bit of a different trial than we're used to covering on this channel, because this was a bench trial, meaning that there was no jury. So they didn't have to worry about how the jury felt, making sure they got information to the jury. This was really about what Kelsey Fitzsimmons was able to say to the judge, what the prosecution, the Commonwealth, was able to convey to the judge, and if they were able to show reasonable doubt. Obviously, the judge decided in this case that it wasn't reasonable doubt. And I loved hearing this statement from the judge because it was so eloquently put, and he left a lot of room for there still to be possibly what the people or the officers who were there with Kelsey Fitzsimmons saw and what they felt happened could be true, and also what Kelsey Fitzsimmons did and what happened could be true. He said he wasn't sure, but we'll go ahead and get into it. Check it out.
Introductory words. Let
This
me
is a
say
great
this,
judge.
This is not in my script. This has been one of the more exhausting, hardest things I've had to do as a judge, as an attorney. And in any event. So as
didn't want to give it away.
Unlike when a judge presides over a jury-waived trial in a civil case, there is no requirement that a judge explain their reasons for reaching a verdict after a criminal bench trial. I do so in this case because I think that Ms. Fitzsimmons, Officer Noonan, and all the people involved in the tragic events of June 30, 2025 deserve an explanation. Next, I'd like to take the opportunity to publicly thank and commend the attorneys in this case.
They did a great job.
Did an exceptional job presenting the evidence and conducting themselves in an extremely professional and civil manner. And they did so under the public spotlight in an emotionally charged case. I commend you. To the extent that any of the prosecutors and attorneys may be vilified or subjected to public scorn for simply doing their jobs, in this case, I say that any such scorn is unfair, unwarranted, and simply wrong. These prosecutors and attorneys fought hard, but performed their solemn jobs fairly with the utmost civility and professionalism. They served as a shining example of our adversarial system in operation. Now, I'd like to publicly acknowledge the crucial and often thankless role that police officers perform, a role that Ms.
Kelsey was
Fitzsimmons
officer.
herself, like Officer Noonan, willingly and selflessly performed for the citizens of North Andover. For this, you should be thanked, not disparaged. For those that think that serving as a police officer is easy, or that officers don't care or take pride in their work, I say with more than 3 decades of experience in the criminal justice system that you are naive, misinformed, and sadly mistaken. The work of police officers is especially fraught with peril today because of our exceedingly cynical, polarized atmosphere where our citizenry often believes that there is a conspiracy under or around every corner. I saw no evidence of a conspiracy in this case. What I saw was dedicated public servants like Officer Noonan and his fellow officers doing the best they could under tragic, rapidly evolving emotional circumstances. What I also saw was a young woman, Ms. Fitzsimmons, who was also a dedicated public servant, react to sudden, confusing, and heartbreaking news. Now let me turn to the evidence and the law. Our system of justice requires me to decide this case solely on the law and the evidence. So the only things I have considered in reaching my verdict are the 98 exhibits admitted during the trial and the testimony of the 11 witnesses that testified here in open court. While it may be cold and uncaring, our system of justice demands that emotion, sympathy, and concern for the consequences of my decision play no role in my decision. As for the law, in order to prove Ms. Fitzsimmons guilty of the crime of assault by means of a dangerous weapon, the Commonwealth must prove the following 3 things. We lawyers call these things elements beyond a reasonable doubt. First, that Ms. Simmons committed an assault on Officer Noonan. Second, that Ms. Simmons intended to commit the assault. And third, that the assault was committed by means of a dangerous weapon. The sole issue before me is whether the Commonwealth proved each of these 3 elements beyond a reasonable doubt. And more specifically, under the circumstances of this case, the narrow issue before me is whether the Commonwealth proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Ms. Fitzsimmons pointed a firearm at Officer Noonan for any perceptible amount of time. What is not before me are the legality of the issuance of the restraining order to Mr. Alain, the reasonableness of the procedure used by the police to serve the restraining order, the legality of Officer Noonan's use of force, and issues regarding the custody of Caden. It is not my place to decide these issues or even mention my thoughts on them. I am thankful for this because my role has been hard enough. What has made my job especially difficult in this case is that by and large, I found the testimony of Officer Noonan and Ms. Fitzsimmons to be credible on the material and relevant points.
Which is crazy. He said he believes they both were telling the truth, which makes me think the police officers in this case, according to the judge, just made a bad call. And maybe they necessarily didn't need to do what they did. But again, if the officer hadn't shot her, she might not be here today. So, interesting points by the judge.
In my experience, this is unusual and somewhat perplexing. On the one hand, Ms. Fitzsimmons credibly testified that she never pointed a firearm at Officer Noonan. On the other hand, Officer Noonan testified that not only did Ms. Fitzsimmons point a gun at him, that she also pulled the trigger. Both agree that it happened in seconds near a narrow doorway, and the crime scene photos show that the door frame was made narrower by a clothes rack containing police uniforms that was to Officer Noonan's left. The door frame was also made, the door frame was made still narrower when Officer Noonan used it to take cover when he drew his firearm. During the closing argument, the Commonwealth argued that it is scientifically and physically impossible for Ms. Fitzsimmons' story to be true because there was a bullet in the chamber, and she said that Officer Noonan shot her without her ever racking the slide after pulling the trigger. I disagree that the evidence reflected that the only way to chamber a round would have been to pull the slide under those circumstances. However, even if I assume that Ms. Fitzsimmons lied about not racking the slide, it does not detract from the adamancy and credibility of her testimony that she never pointed the gun at Officer Noonan, about which he was equally as adamant that she did. Perhaps the Commonwealth could have easily met its burden if the officers had been wearing body cameras. But under these circumstances, I am left with a reasonable doubt, and I am duty-bound to find that the Commonwealth has not met its burden to prove that Ms. Fitzsimmons committed an assault by means of a dangerous weapon on Officer Noonan, and my verdict is and must be not guilty. Right. With that, I will hand the signed verdict slip. Did I lose it?
And again, Officer Noonan.
I will hand the signed verdict slip to Mr. Ruane and ask that he advise Ms. Fitzsimmons of her statutory rights.
Congratulations to Kelsey again. I'm going to let this play while I talk and mute it in the background. This has got to be a weird situation because, again, everything surrounding how Kelsey was being served this order by her ex-fiance, this restraining order by a fiance, was weird, right? But the officers just going there trying to do their job. He sees someone while he's there pull a gun, Kelsey Fitzsimmons, who he knew by his own admission and by what Kelsey said, saying, stop, don't do it, Kelsey, don't do it. You know, clearly they had a relationship there, as she mentioned. And then to see how this played out with the officer shooting her, essentially somewhat, can we say, saving her life? How would you guys feel if you were about to end your life, somebody shoots you, and then you end up living and then have to fight this in court, and then you still get to be on this earth, you still get to be breathing air. She may still get to be a part of her child's life, which we're actually going to get into her talking about here in a second. Again, it's just a weird situation. The officer in this case, he may have perceived that she was trying to point the gun at him, and she wasn't. She might have lifted it and re-racked it and tried to tap and rack it. It's just a very interesting situation, and I don't think there's really any hard feelings between the officer and Kelsey. He feels like that's what he saw. She feels like that's what happened. They both say it happens in second. Who knows? So let's actually get into the press conference from Kelsey Fitzsimmons, and you see her there with the smile and her attorneys, because as she will say, this fight is not over because she's still trying to regain custody or get access to her now 9-month-old child, I believe. Sad situation.
Good afternoon, everybody. It was just another day at the office today. Just want to say that we want to thank so many people. You know, we want to thank Kelsey and her family for having faith in us. We, meaning Martha and I, want to thank so many people that Kelsey and her family had faith in us. And, you know, we had a very tough playing field for a long time. And we also want to thank Judge Karp, who did a great job and was a gentleman and treated us fairly and with justice. And that's all we ever asked for. And we finally got it, so we're relieved. And but other than thanking everybody, I just want to hand it over to Martha, and she's going to have some words for everybody first.
Yeah, so thanks, Tim.
No body cam was.
This is not only the right result, it's a righteous result today. It's been a long odyssey for those of you who follow this, and we started off in this case, you know, understanding, as we all do, and as the judge said, policing is a tough job. Being a mom is a tough job. And on June 30th, Kelsey had to do both. She's trying to be a mom. She's trying to get back to work. And then her world fell apart. And unfortunately on that day, as she said to the judge, and you heard in court, she had to deal with all that. And unfortunately what happened in that bedroom started a chain of events with a narrative that they never diverged from. They never asked her about it. They rushed to judgment. And that case took on a life of its own, which unfortunately interfered with her life for an unnecessary and difficult time. I think Tim and I have known from the beginning that that wasn't fair, that the charges probably weren't fair, and that we were going to deal with the system, and we were going to take this to trial, and as Kelsey has said, without fail, she just wanted the truth to come out. She was able to do that when she testified in this case, and again, we're grateful for the judge's work. We're happy with this decision. And it's the right decision, as we said. She was always innocent until proven guilty. The Commonwealth did not meet their burden of proof, and she is innocent today.
Kelsey, what was it like to hear that word, not guilty? To hear the judge say not guilty this afternoon? You sat there, you know, you were on the stand yesterday telling
it's the only right thing to do.
So,
I got shot. I went to jail for 103 days.
Look at
I
TB
had
in
to
the
see my
background.
son. I had to sell my home that I worked very hard for. So
Dang.
this is my first breath of fresh air, and I feel like I can breathe again. However, my fight is not over. I have a son that I need to reunite with, and that's where we are right now.
Good for her having her priorities straight.
I won't get into that, but I will say I am really excited to see my son again.
Do you have any plans to hire a personal injury attorney or have a personal injury attorney representing you?
I will also not get into that, but
Yeah, today we're celebrating this verdict.
yeah,
And that's
I'm
what we're focused
focusing
on,
on today.
one day at a time.
And I also would just like to thank everybody who stood outside each and every day, supported me, believed me before I got to tell my story, because it wasn't 9 months later until I got to tell the truth. And that
That's
was
true.
a long 9 months. And through those 9 months, you guys knew the truth. You guys believed in me, and thank you for that.
Kelsey, what's the message? Kelsey, what's the message to others that are in a position like yours after what happened today with the not guilty verdict? What would you tell other people?
Don't stop fighting for what's right, and when you know you didn't do something wrong, keep fighting for that.
Okay, do you know if they police officer again?
I won't comment on that either. I don't know
Yeah,
what my
that's
career
tough.
goals are at the moment.
What have the last 9 months been like for you as a person, as a mother, as a defendant?
There is not a word. If you want to,
She hasn't been able to be a mother.
Picture me on a mat in a jail cell, crying for my son, day after day after day after day. That's the only. There's not a word for that, but that is what happened to me.
Kelsey, do you feel like you're owed something now, considering that you've been found not guilty? All of this stuff has happened to you.
Talking about a lawsuit.
That one too.
Leave that one to the lawyers, Sarah.
Yeah.
Hey,
There
Kelsey,
you go.
the judge was not exactly speedy in getting to the ultimate decision. How painful was that to sit there and just wait for what
He did a
I mean,
great
it's
job.
okay. He had to go through all the evidence, and it was a lot. So
We thought he was pretty quick, actually. And we, obviously, with a good judge, didn't have the issue with the jury. He told us when he was going to decide. We knew he was going to write his decision, which was helpful, and he told that in public. So we had this hybrid trial with a judge. He was both the judge and the jury, and he was forthcoming throughout the trial, transparent, and told us he was going to tell us why the decision, which of course we would not have gotten with the jury verdict. So it's helpful.
Yeah, and again, guys, I see y'all saying it in the chat. Blue privilege, blue privilege. I 1000% agree. If this was a regular citizen, this would not have been a bench trial. You would have to take this to a jury, and you would have to take Kelsey, the poor mother, victim, blonde hair, blue eyes, before the jury and say, listen, guys, the officers, they're police officers. You saw the Camry trial. You saw what happens here in the Commonwealth. Officers aren't always honest. Kelsey was just trying to be a mother, just trying to protect her child, and she didn't want to have to deal with this situation. So here we are. It would have went before a jury if she were not a police officer. So I 1000% agree with y'all on that. But here we are. I think the judge made the right decision in this case.
Kelsey, did you have this verdict, in your opinion? Were you surprised the charges were brought in the first place, and why do you think they were?
So I'm just going to repeat what I said earlier to that question. A set of things got set into a motion on June 30th that then followed a narrative starting that night in that room that never really got challenged, that never really got investigated with any investigation of her, that never got tested in any way, but the presumption was that she was a defendant in this case. And so that's unfortunate because she couldn't talk for a while, she's being held for a while. She never got a chance really to tell her story. Ordinarily the system shouldn't work that way, but both Attorney Bradel and I have been on both sides of the system. We know how it works, and sometimes when it doesn't work well and it works slowly, that's unfortunately what happened in this case. And we fought every way with Kelsey to make sure that justice was done. It took longer than it should have, we think. It was more painful than it should have been, but look, we got the right result today, and we are happy with that.
Kelsey, what's the next thing you want to do now that you're not guilty?
Guys, hold on. Let's give these guys over here a chance. Go ahead.
Bail was lifted, and you said you can breathe again, but there's a lot of changes that can take place today. You have a lot more freedom that you're not. How do you plan to start that journey of freedom?
I want to go for a walk with my dog. I can't wait to take him for a run. I haven't been able to do that, but that's our thing, is going for runs. So I'm sure he will.
And don't forget, she couldn't do that. She had to sit in her house. That was her best case scenario, that she was a prisoner in her own home.
That's crazy.
And then her worst case scenario at the outset of this case, and like Martha said, this was such a bumpy road, a long, bumpy road that never should have happened. And, you know, she had to spend time in prison. As a former police officer and corrections officer, she gets sent to jail. Someone with no criminal record. Someone who shows up to court, has a wonderful history in this county, and sent to jail. To me, it's unprecedented. It terrorized her, and it's a horrendous, awful thing that happened. This case started out as a circus, and we are so grateful to end up in Lawrence in front of Judge Karp, who, like I said, is an absolute gentleman, a consummate jurist, and he treated everyone in that room with respect, with humanity, with kindness, and we were very appreciative for it.
Do you have a message to your former colleague?
What do you make of the judge saying he credited both Kelsey's testimony?
She should say, "Thank you for saving my life."
Called it confusing.
Well, Charlie, you know, he's the fact
But
finder.
again, she can't say that because they're probably going to sue.
He's got to make the sausage in the back room. You know, he's got to think about everything, and you know, it's a tough job for any fact finder in any case, really. But I mean, you know, Kelsey has said to you guys every time we're out here, I can't wait to get to the truth. I can't wait for the truth to come out. And finally, she got her chance, and she told the truth, and she put herself out there. The one person in the whole room that didn't have to testify. She's the one that got up there, put herself out there, and told the truth. And the judge, I think, treated her wonderfully and was very humane and kind and listened attentively to not only her, but to everybody in the case. And we're grateful for that.
And I'll just add two things to that. First of all, people can believe they're telling the truth when they're mistaken, so they can appear to be credible but be wrong. And when a defendant like this is credible, I think, as Tim said in his opening and his closing, that creates reasonable doubt. And so that's the standard.
She was very
Commonwealth
credible.
Always has the burden beyond the reasonable doubt. We didn't know the one thing we weren't going to get was a hung jury here. So.
Josie, do you have a question? You're okay?
Great case presented by them.
How are you feeling, Kelsey?
I feel good. I feel relieved. I was eager to do this, and I said from day one, the truth will come out, and it did.
Anybody else?
Maybe if this is bubbling up, but you testified that she was and the judge seemed, and even the prosecutor seemed to agree with that. It's 9 months.
It's not a word. It's not a word. It's the most devastating thing that you can do to a mom, and hopefully
It's tough.
changes will be made where a new mom or anyone will never have to go through something like this.
We talked about that, and we're going to talk about that with legislators. What kind of a system is it that somebody can walk into court, fill out a piece of paper, and in 15 minutes, take someone's baby away, take a mom of a newborn baby away? It's just an incredible thing, and it shouldn't happen. And we're going to work on some reforms of that statute.
Tim, how much impact
Yeah,
do you
that's
think it had
crazy.
that
I agree.
had connections, friends within the law enforcement community? So maybe you can't be just anybody that needs to look out for.
To be determined, Michael. You know, to be determined. We have some other investigations to work on, and we're going to leave no stone unturned, and we're going to find out exactly how and why this happened, who's responsible, and you know, we're not stopping here. You know, the things that happened to Kelsey, we have, with respect to her home being broken into, we've reported that to the FBI, and I've had it with Essex County, and there are other avenues to pursue, and we're pursuing them. And we're in touch with the FBI on all sorts of federal crimes that were committed, and we're
Wow,
in
good
the
for them.
process of dealing with it there. That's one example of other avenues that we're taking here. You know, we're not sitting here at Essex County beck and call. We know where to go, and we know who to talk to, and we are doing that. Anybody else?
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, congratulations again to Kelsey getting a simple win in my opinion. Judge did a great job. Attorneys did a great job on both sides, and this was the only right decision when it comes to reasonable doubt. Two different stories, one same outcome. Who do you believe? Reasonable doubt to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and in the chat. Shout out to Kelsey, man. Congratulations. Hopefully she gets to be back with her son again. The issues surrounding her not having her son, that goes a little bit deeper than we talked about on the show. We have covered it, and we did cover it when this story first broke, about some of the past Kelsey had with her mental health issues, with postpartum depression, and some of the back and forth between her and her ex-fiance. But we're not going to get into that today. We'll let her celebrate her win, and then as she keeps fighting this battle, hopefully she sees some movement here. And we actually have a follow-up on a story that we covered over the last couple days, and we're going to get into it here. Now that we've heard that Jarvis Butts, the man who admitted and was sentenced for the murder and disappearance of Neziah Harris, we now know that he is dead. He was found dead in his cell there in Detroit. And we're actually going to now hear from the family on what they feel about what happened to Jarvis and what's going to happen moving forward. Now, as I mentioned, as a part of his sentencing and as a part of the plea deal that he took, he did have to reveal what he did or what happened to Neziah Harris. So we're going to hear from the family at what point they were at with that, if they already have some information about where Neziah is, and if they have any hope of recovering her body now that we know Neziah is unfortunately gone. Check this out from Detroit News there, and Fox News in Detroit. Here we go.
Now to our other big story at 5. Jarvis Butts, the man convicted of killing 13-year-old Neziah Harris and sexually assaulting her and other girls, is dead after weeks after being sentenced. His body found at a prison intake center in Jackson. Fox News' Lauren Edwards is live in Detroit with reaction tonight. Lauren.
Rube, just as you said, Jarvis Butts was found dead, and this happening 2 weeks after he was sentenced for killing Neziah Harris. And just the location of her body is basically, at this point, it's a bit of a mystery. Detroit police are on it, but let's get into all the details because there is so much that you need to know. Now, this is the Charles Egler Reception and Guidance Center in Jackson. It's a prison intake center where the Michigan Department of Correction confirms that Jarvis Butts' body was found 2 weeks ago, 43.
And as I've mentioned before, the place that he was being held out wasn't his final destination. It was more of like a checkpoint. So he was being held there until they transferred him to where he was going to be at mainly. And he didn't even make it to his main jail or prison.
3-year-old Butts was sentenced in the murder of 13-year-old Neziah Harris, sentenced to 35 to 60 years. He pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, and as a part of the plea deal, he was supposed to provide information as to where her body was. And Wayne County Prosecutor's Office says he did exactly that. Harris was last seen in January 2024, and prosecutors say she met up with Butts the day that she disappeared, and she was pregnant. Allegedly, Butts, the father of that child. And fast forward Thursday, MDOC says he took his own life. MDOC says the staff tried to save his life but were unsuccessful. Fox 2 spoke with Harris's cousin Roxy, who was out of town, about what happened and the concerns the family still has.
We ultimately, want to still know where she is because we still don't have those answers. We just want to lay her to rest and things like that. So there's still a lot of unanswered questions, and him doing, deciding to take his own life was unexpected, literally 2 weeks after the sentencing. He made his bed, he got to lay in it. I think it was a bit of a cowardly way out, but he made his bed, so he has to lay in it.
Dang.
So again, the prosecutor's office saying that Butts did provide information, and then she referred us over to Detroit Police Department, and we spoke with DPD, and they say that they are investigating, they are searching for her body, and that they are looking into every lead. Please stick with Fox 2.
Thank God. So they did get the information from Jarvis, even though he took, they say, the coward's way out. They do have information about what possibly happened.
As this continues to develop, reporting live here in Detroit, Lauren Edwards, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, Lauren, I know that obviously people who are being transported are being supervised. Any idea as to if this happened at a time that he just wasn't being watched, or any of those details?
Ruth, there's so many questions as to exactly how this all unfolded. Those are questions that I have, that you have, that we hope to get answers about, when and how all this exactly happened. So all I can say at this time is that please continue to stick with us. As I get these updates, I will be delivering them.
Lauren Edwards for us live tonight. Thank you.
All right. Shout out to Lauren. We're actually going to go ahead and hear more information and more comments from the family in this case. Again, at least they have an idea of where they can start looking for Neziah. Will they be able to find her? It's going to be a tough situation, especially if what we believe is true and that she was dumped in the river nearby where her clothes were found.
Just saying you threw her in the river is not good enough.
It's a bittersweet moment. However, you know, for us, it's sweet, and I'm sure for his family, it's bitter.
Strong reactions from a local activist and the family of Neziah Harris after the shocking news that her killer took his own life in prison. Jarvis Butts was found dead in his prison cell today, just 2 weeks ago after he was sentenced for killing Neziah. Her body was never found, and the chance of that now dwindling with his death. Fox News' Jessica Dupnack joins us live in our newsroom with the latest twist in this tragic case. Jess.
Proof Jarvis Butts was still getting processed through the Michigan prison system when this all happened. His body was found right around 6:30 this morning. Michigan State Police brought in to investigate. It is being called a suicide at this point. Now, just 2 weeks ago, part of that plea agreement in court was that Jarvis Butts would reveal once and for all where he dumped Neziah Harris's body. But unfortunately, family very discouraged they'll ever find it now that he's gone.
I think it was a bit of a cowardly way out, but, you know, he made his bed, so he has to lay in it, you know.
No tears from the family of Neziah Harris upon learning convicted serial child rapist and murderer Jarvis Butts was found dead in his jail cell Thursday in a Jackson, Michigan prison. The Michigan Department of Corrections tells us his death is being reported as a suicide.
You know, I feel like we still didn't get answers for Neziah. I feel like there were a lot of unanswered questions still about the case.
Like where her body is. Part of Butts' plea was that he had to reveal where he dumped Neziah's body that winter day back in 2024 after she got off the school bus. She was believed to be pregnant with his child.
Just saying you threw her in the river is not good enough. With a plea, you give us something, we give you this. And we didn't get that. And the community is very angry about that.
Community activist Tamara Liberty Smith on this case since the beginning, saying there's a trail of trauma left behind by Butts. His history of raping children spans more than a decade. As young as 4 years old, even his own family.
Hopefully that all victims can get the resources and the help that's needed so that chain will be broken and this demonic force does not continue.
Yeah, thank God.
Forensic evidence did link Neziah's body to the Rouge River right around 7 Mile in Detroit. But again, her remains were never found. Detroit police releasing a statement today saying they will continue looking for her. Reporting in the newsroom, Jessica Dupnack on The Edge.
So they know that she was in the river. We've heard that from the family. They're going to have to continue searching. Hopefully they will come up with something. And now that the police have that, I'm sure they've been heavily involved in searching in that area as well. Let's get into one more video and hear from Neziah's family.
Stunning development in a case that captured headlines nationwide. The Detroit man convicted of murdering 13-year-old Neziah Harris was found dead in prison this morning.
A spokesperson from the Michigan Department of Corrections told us Jarvis Butts died by suicide as state police follow up with an investigation.
Welcome to CBS News Detroit at 5 on Terrence Friday.
And I'm Rochelle Graham in for Shayna Humphreys. Back in February, Butts pleaded guilty to the murder of Neziah Harris, along with 5 separate sexual assault cases. CBS News Detroit's Jack Springate spoke to one of Neziah's family members. Jack.
Well, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office told us after his sentencing that Jarvis Butts needed to submit a truthful statement regarding Neziah Harris's body, but that isn't being made public. However, they did say the statements were crucial in bringing closure to some members of Neziah's family.
Yep.
He, as well as other family members and the public, have been waiting, you know, for 2 years now to know, you know, where Neziah is.
However, Neziah's adult cousin, Roxy, says she's still waiting. She claims the only family members who saw the statement are the ones Neziah lived with when she went missing.
They apparently only have knowledge of that information.
That was on January 9th, 2024, when the 13-year-old was last seen getting off her bus on Detroit's east side. Police conducted numerous searches, but they never found her body. Butts pleaded guilty to murdering her on February 12th of this year. Butts' death comes 2 weeks after a judge sentenced him to up to 60 years in prison for murdering Neziah. He was also serving time for sex crimes against 4 other survivors.
I did get to talk to one survivor today. She expressed to me that she can finally breathe after feeling suffocated for so many years.
Roxy says she's working to create the Neziah Rapid Response Recovery Team to help get answers and advocate for families with similar cases.
Good for her. Shout out to
Now,
Roxy.
we may still find out where Neziah's body is, as the Detroit Police Department issued a statement saying they're still committed to searches in hopes of finding Neziah's body. Now, the Michigan Department of Corrections told us they couldn't say whether Butts had any cellmates, while the Michigan State Police continue their investigation.
And y'all were asking about that in the chat as well. They don't know if anybody else was involved. Honestly, I don't think most people care. All they want to know is where Neziah is. This man met his end and was going to meet his end one way or another. Happened this way. It is what it is, as the family said. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and in the chat. Again, y'all, hey, listen, man. There's so much I want to say about this. I'm gonna leave it alone, but I will say this was an evil, evil man. Good riddance. I'll leave it at that. Let's keep it moving. Thank you to everyone who's in here. There's over 7,000 of y'all in the building. Can you all like the video? Take 1 second, literally a second, and like the video. Okay, guys, it's free and it helps out so much. I see y'all in the comments as well, and I will be getting to the super chats. I see all the super chats in there. Thank y'all for the love. Let's get into our next topic. This is the interesting one. Speaking of somebody, boy, we talked a lot already today about abuse of power. We talked about the police getting certain advantages over regular citizens. This story, if you have not heard this yet, is going to be very interesting. We're actually going to talk about a South Fulton police officer, Michael Cochran, up in here, and we'll get into this story. It's getting kind of wild, guys. It's when it comes to the people that are supposed to keep us safe, it's sad to see these type of situations happen. Let's go ahead and get into this tragic story. So we've got to talk about a South Fulton police officer getting exposed for assaulting someone that he had just arrested. Yes, we're going to talk about Michael Cochran. We're going to get into the story here, and then later video, we're actually going to cover the press conference where officers are talking about their investigation into this man. But first, I want to give you some background on what happened. And we're now finding out that he, of course, was fired. This man's going to be no longer working for the police department, as it should be. Listen to this from 11 Alive News.
For a South Fulton police officer accused of sexually assaulting a woman he had just arrested.
That's right. Now that officer is the one in custody. 11 Alive's Marissa Sarback joining us live at South Fulton's police department. Marissa, you actually spoke with the interim director of public safety. Do we know any more about what happened here?
We certainly do, Faith and Cheryl. We know from the interim director of public safety that this incident happened while the officer was responding to a domestic dispute on March 21st. That officer is accused of then sexually assaulting the domestic violence victim in this case. Now, again, the interim director of public safety giving us many details. Some of this we also got from the arrest warrants earlier today. Now, this is who he says is responsible. Police officer Michael Cochran arrested and booked this morning into Fulton County Jail. Those arrest warrants we also just obtained telling us this happened after he took her to an isolated area in his patrol vehicle. He says Officer Cochran was responding to the call for service when he realized that the victim had warrants out for her arrest in DeKalb County. Officer Cochran is accused of taking the woman into custody and then sexually assaulting her before bringing her to DeKalb County Jail.
Now, I want some more details on what the SA was, because again, in a lot of cases, it could be anything. He was arrested and booked as an officer. I'm sure they did not want to have to do this to him. So what actually happened, we're going to get into the details of what went down there. Guys, is this an instance where you believe innocent until proven guilty? Again, I like to say it most of the time, but I'm going to go innocent until proven guilty in this case until we find out more information. Let's keep going.
The initial call for service that the officer responds to was a domestic dispute. Once he arrived to the scene, we believe that it was at that point that he turned off his own body camera. Upon putting her inside his vehicle, the back seat of his vehicle, and that was determined through our Samsara and our Exxon camera technology, which our vehicles are equipped with. It was determined that when they took off, he took her to an undisclosed location where the sexual assault took place. At the end of his assault, he took her on to Fulton County. It is DeKalb County Jail.
Interesting.
The arrest warrant details are also quite disturbing. It reads in part, quote, initially, Cochran denied any sexual misconduct with the victim. However, after being confronted with video footage, Cochran admitted that she initiated the conversation about being intimate. Cochran stated that the incident was voluntary.
Well, does that change anything? Yeah, so this man, he was, sounds like they were, quote unquote, intimate. Now we've got more details and we'll get into why he was fired here in a second, but does that change anything for y'all with innocent until proven guilty? Because it sounds like he's saying, hey, listen, guys, I did it. She wanted me to do it, even though I was a police officer. You know, Lil Wayne was playing in the background that we. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't know.
Now, the victim was under arrest and in custody at the time. So the interim director of public safety, of course, explaining today that that is incapable. She is incapable of providing consent while being under arrest and being in custody. Cheryl, Faith.
Marissa, you said it best when you said it's disturbing to hear the details here. Do we know how long this officer had been with the department?
Cheryl, we do. We also know that he is 30 years old. He's been with the department for 2 years, and I actually asked the director today whether or not they'd be reviewing any past cases that he had been involved with. He said they absolutely will be going through those with a fine-tooth comb. Any cases, any calls for service that Officer Cochran has responded to over the last 2 years.
All right. Thanks a lot for the update, Marissa. Appreciate you keeping following.
Dang, that's tough. Well, of course he got fired. It sounds like I shouldn't laugh about this. I'm laughing because it sounds like it may not be an actual case of SA. It might be a technical, illegal case of SA, meaning that officer should have known better if she was in cuffs and he was in his uniform. He shouldn't be participating in certain types of activities, even if she wanted, even if she initiated it, even if she said, oh, you look good. Come on in the back seat. Can't do that, man. You got to know better. Dang.
A police officer has found himself on the wrong side of the law, accused of raping a domestic violence victim. And to make matters worse, investigators say she called police for help. That's where we begin tonight at 10. Thanks for joining us. I'm Courtney Bryant.
And I'm Russ Spencer. The interim public safety managing director spoke earlier today. Fox 5's Christopher King is live at South Fulton Police headquarters tonight with more. Christopher?
Russ, Courtney, his job is to protect and serve, but South Fulton Police say one of their officers did the exact opposite.
Patrol officer Michael Sheely Cochran was booked into the Fulton County Jail.
South Fulton police officer Michael Sheely Cochran took an oath, but on Wednesday, his own department accused him of violating that oath. Police say Cochran raped a woman while he was on duty.
It's sad that it happens, particularly in policing, where people look to you for trust. People look for you for the type of protection that you're going to give you.
Dr. Cedric Alexander is the interim public safety managing director for South Fulton Police. Dr. Alexander says Cochran responded to a domestic violence call early last Saturday morning. He says Cochran spoke with a 28-year-old woman.
Once he arrived to the scene, we believe that it was at that point that he turned off his own body camera.
Alexander says Cochran learned the woman had warrants in DeKalb County. Alexander says Cochran handcuffed the woman, put her in his car, and drove off.
He took her to an undisclosed location where the sexual assault took place.
The interim managing director says Cochran then took the woman to the DeKalb County Jail.
She later reported that she had been sexually assaulted by the officer.
Alexander says his department combed the evidence, which included video from inside the officer's car.
It gave the appearance that a sexual assault actually did take place.
Cochran initially was placed on administrative leave. On Wednesday, South Fulton Police arrested Cochran.
The fact of the matter is that he violated Georgia state law as a law enforcement officer. Being in that supervisory role, responsible for their care, he in total violation.
South Fulton Police fired Cochran. Right now, he's at the Fulton County Jail. He's charged with sexual assault by a person with supervisory or disciplinary authority and violation of his oath of office. We're live at the South Fulton Police Department headquarters. Christopher King, Fox 5 News.
Yeah, such a terrible betrayal. Christopher.
Yeah, that's tough. And again, that's the point that we have to make here. When you're an officer, listen, even if it's quote unquote consensual, if you're detaining somebody and you have them in handcuffs, you can't do this type of thing. But we all know this happens a lot of the time, especially before body cameras were so widespread and used the way they are now. It happened a lot. So again, you just got to be smart. You got to be careful. and you definitely can't assault somebody, even if it's on a technicality. Let's listen and hear from the mayor of South Fulton, because you know she had to chime in on this about how just despicable this man is for doing whatever he did with this poor woman.
Now to South Fulton Mayor Carmelita Gumbs, who joins us. Mayor, can you hear us okay?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey, thank you for making the time. I know that the city of South Fulton and your administration is offering and introducing a business amnesty program. I want to make sure we get to that in a moment, but let's start here. This news of a South Fulton officer who was arrested, we just saw the press conference from Cedric Alexander. For residents who are seeing this news coming out, what would be your message to them?
It's certainly disappointing, and it's unfortunate that this is happening, but this is the reason why we are really focusing on bringing our leadership into this city. And I commend Dr. Alexander for the work that he has done, getting the bad actors out. We want people to feel safe in our city, and that's why we moved expeditiously on this particular case. So no one is above the law. And we want to make sure that residents understand that we will take swift actions when you do break the law, whether or not you work for the city of South Fulton or not. So again, I want residents to understand that our city is moving effectively in the right direction, and we are focusing on the bad actors, and we want people to feel safe in our city.
Yeah, and listen, officers, if y'all handcuff somebody and they try to get it on, just leave them alone. All right, just let them be. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments and in the chat. Lord have mercy. You know, some brothers, they be out there down bad and they see a little. All right, I shouldn't laugh. Dang. I shouldn't laugh about this. So we're actually going to get into the press conference and hear more about this investigation. I want to address this because I was getting all spicy in there with Marcia. It said, very disappointed in your comment about blue privilege when it comes to Kelsey Fitzsimmons. You obviously didn't want to educate yourself on all the things that happened before, during, and after the shooting. Well, I just want to say, I've been researching and been following this case since December, well, before December of last year. And I made the first video on it in December. So if you want to watch that, I'll drop the link in the chat for you, because that comment you're making is false. I actually gave Kelsey the benefit of the doubt. And I think if we're going to have that conversation, we have to let's be reasonable here. We've seen cases and how judges overall across the board have handled cases when it comes to police officers or police officers being charged or police officer crime differently than they would for regular citizens. And I think most of us can agree that if Kelsey Fitzsimmons were a regular citizen and not a police officer, this case would have been handled and would have gone differently. I can't imagine that her attorneys would have had a bench trial, even with it being he said, she said, because he wasn't a police officer. I think that played a lot into it. And honestly, I want to go back and watch this video myself and see what I said, because I always say innocent until proven guilty. So for me, it wasn't really about her being a police officer or not. It was whether the Commonwealth was going to be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Kelsey Fitzsimmons picked up her gun, pointed it at the police officer, and pulled the trigger. And I didn't think they were going to be able to do that. This video is 11 minutes long. I'm going to watch it after the show. I'm not going to make y'all sit here and watch one of my older videos, but either way, we'll go ahead and get into it at some point. Let's get the rest of this. And I actually need to change the title of this, but this is actually the press conference. Let me see. Wasn't Alexander a federal agent or something before? Alexander? Which Alexander are you talking about? Nope. With the body cam on, dispatch, I need a female officers to assist. Yeah, something. Don't put yourself in that situation. Shout out to CPE. So now we're going to get into the press conference where we're actually going to hear from the South Fulton police on what's going on with this situation with Michael Cochran being arrested for allegedly assaulting this woman that he had arrested. Now, if you haven't been following this story, Michael Cochran, a police officer, responded to a domestic dispute. And then the woman that he ended up detaining and arresting, according to him, was trying to get it on. So he was trying to make something happen. They got in the back seat, and then he got charged with SA. It seems like he's being charged with the assault in that way because he was an officer He had her detained. And now, of course, you can't do that while you've got somebody in handcuffs as a police officer. Handcuffs outside of that, I mean, hey, do what you do. Let's get into the press conference before I say something I'm going to regret. Here we go.
All right, welcome back, guys. You see this picture beside me. It is a press conference right now happening where South Fulton police are discussing that officer who was arrested. We mentioned this earlier. He's facing multiple felony charges, including sexual assault. Let's go ahead and listen into this and see what's being said here.
On to DeKalb County. Fulton County. It is DeKalb County Jail where the warrants were active on her. After getting her there to the cab, he turned her over to correctional personnel. She later reported that she had been sexually assaulted by the officer. It was at that point the notification process based on policies came into play. And it was later determined upon our investigation, which included statements and technology use of the Samsara, which is located inside those vehicles, that it gave the appearance that a sexual assault actually did take place. This is an unfortunate and sad event that took place. This is no kind of way an indictment on the men and women who go out here every day and do the job that they're sworn to do under Georgia state law. We find it a very difficult time for us, but nothing was more important to us at this particular point is to be open and transparent with the general public in our community here in the city of South Fulton of this offense and how it impacts us all. But here again, this is a case that is still under investigation, and we took immediate action when learning of this in this case, and he was arrested this morning, as I've already stated. So I'm going to stop here, answer any questions that you all may have. At this time, initially, when we learned of this, he was automatically placed on administrative leave. That's pretty standard. Smart. I think you guys know that. But over the course of the next couple of days, as the investigation continued to unfold, we had evidence that we were needed to take to the DA's office and to a judge to have warrants signed for his arrest. So currently he is on arrest. He will be terminated, of course, from this agency.
After you brought him in for questioning, what was his story? What was the story that he gave you guys?
Well, certainly, Tom, I can't get into the specifics of that.
Oh, come on.
I cannot get into the specifics of that at this point. Here again, it's very still an ongoing investigation. But regardless of whether denial or not, the evidence is just so enormous in this particular case that we were able to secure warrants.
But Chief, can you clear up this? We've heard in the past officers say that sex is consensual. Consensual goes out the window.
Consensual goes out the window. You are in the performance of your law enforcement duties. So whether she consented or not is totally immaterial. The fact of the matter is that he violated Georgia state law as a law enforcement officer. Being in that supervisory role, responsible for her care, he in total violation. So it does not matter. He's still going to be charged with the sexual assault.
And turning off the body camera footage, is there a consequence to that?
Yes, it is. But of course, in this case, he's reached the maximum consequence for us, which is going to be termination, and still, of course, we'll decide what happens to the fate of this case. So yes, it is. You do not turn off a body camera anytime you're engaged with the public. But we have evidence to suggest, even before he approached her, when he saw her, when she was found separated from the domestic scene in which they were called to, she was later found at a different location. It was at that point, even before he made contact, he did turn his camera off.
So he was called out for a domestic incident happening at the gas station?
No, not at the gas station. There's another residence. Once we got there, the mother informed us that she had left. She gave a description of the vehicle and of her. The officer found her at that secondary location, and that's where he engaged her.
So, Chief, the body cam was turned off. Did the officer not know that the patrol car had a system in that could record what happens as well?
Well,
I'm going to tell you guys, listen, he was thinking with, he wasn't thinking with this head. Let me just say that, all right? I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep it family friendly, but he was thinking with a different head. He probably knew.
Officer knows that because they're, they're trained. Now, his motivation, reason for doing it, maybe not understanding the depth of the technology in the way that it's designed and able to pick up certain images during this time. Maybe he wasn't aware of it. I do not know. But in addition
to
that,
to risk it all.
Samsara technology also tracks where that vehicle goes.
GPS data.
Its GPS data is built into it, so we know that he took her off track of where he should have been and stopped for a period of time. and started the route again on to DeKalb County Jail.
Does it tell if the lights are turned off or not, or can you see that?
Well, we were able to get images that we need. I can't tell you that much specifically, Tom, but the images that we did acquire certainly did give us enough evidence in order to secure warrants. I need to take a couple other questions. Yes.
Do you believe that something could have happened in the past with him, or in looking into past cases for the time that he's been an officer?
Yes, we are. In fact, we're going back, both internal affairs and our patrol division as well, too, looking at all records of previous arrests where he may have picked up anyone, male or female.
Oh, no.
And going back, taking a look and see if we can find any evidence of any kind of prior improprieties.
Oh, this is going to be bad. This could be a lawsuit. I mean, granted, it's only been 2 years. This could be a lawsuit nightmare. And can y'all imagine if this wasn't the first time that he did it? Oh, man. If this wasn't the first time that he did it, and it's caught on camera, maybe the first year of him being an officer, this happened. Woo! This could be so bad. Dang.
How long has he been an officer?
Approximately 2 years.
Dang.
Why has the GBI not been called in to investigate?
Because we investigated ourselves. We wouldn't call GBI in for this. We were able to manage this here ourselves.
Just looking at cameras.
Once we learned of it, immediately the morning that we learned of it, we began an investigation. At that time, he was relieved of duty, and as of this morning, of course, he was arrested. So there is a process. We had to gather evidence. We had to talk to witnesses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Have you spoken with the victim? How's she doing?
No, I have not. Investigators, of course, have, but I can't tell you what that relationship is at this point.
Chief, you've had a long career in law enforcement. This is really a violation, I guess, of the trust that people have in police officers. Can you speak to that?
I don't think it's the first time he did it either.
We also have to recognize is that in every profession, in every discipline, in every industry, we all recruit from the same place, from the general population. We all part of the general population. Unfortunately, we have people who may come into our system that violate laws. Maybe they did not have those intentions when they first came on, but later, who knows what happened to people in that time. So we're talking about people. We're talking about people.
Saw an opportunity
It's
and
unfortunate. It's sad that it happens, particularly in policing, where people look to you for trust. People look for you for the type of protection that you're going to give them. And when you violate someone in this manner, it is certainly embarrassing and hurtful to all the men and women who go out here every day and work very hard, very diligently to keep this community safe. But here again, this incident is not going to in any kind of way mark this police department. I have the full amount of confidence that we will continue to do our jobs, and as time goes on, the public will continue to have trust in us. And we have built a relationship, I truly believe, in this city with our police officers, with our elected officials, with our city manager, everyone has worked hard to build and maintain those relationships. So one individual is not going to take us off course. And this community is going to continue to be safe. We're going to continue to provide the type of protection that we always have, and we're going to respond to these types of incidents of any type with a great deal of speed, openness, and transparency so that the public is aware. And it was important when we learned of this to move on this quickly, to make a determination of what it is, and we gathered the facts that were needed at this point in order for an arrest.
That's tough, man.
And now it's turned over to the courts.
And you'll hear anecdotally, and you also hear actual examples when a police officer is.
They said they sent him to Fulton County Jail.
In danger. Is there any special consideration?
Yikes.
Of where he is in the general population? How does that work?
I really don't know what the procedure would be for the correctional institution that has taken him into custody, but I'm quite sure that they have policies and rules of engagement when it comes to police officers being brought into an incarcerated facility as such, DeKalb County jails. They'll make whatever necessary allowances that they need to make in order to keep him safe as well.
So now he's saying he went to DeKalb.
Did this woman make the initial phone call about the domestic dispute, or was it her mother? And did more than one officer respond to the initial scene?
I don't know exactly how. We know that it came in as a domestic dispute. I don't know how many officers were assigned to respond to that call, but we know that this one officer did, and all the acts that took place after that. So I can't answer that quite specifically, but of course when that call came in as a domestic, she left the scene, the victim left the scene of the domestic. She was later located at a business close by, and that's when the officer engaged her in all the other acts of sexual violation took place.
Chief, did you know this officer?
No, I did not.
Dang.
All right, one last question. Well, can you speak to how hard or how not hard it is to arrest one of your own?
Well, it's not a matter of it being hard or easy. It's unfortunate for us as an agency that one lone individual go out commit such an act, and those who do this job every day will continue to do their job. They will continue to hold their heads high, but none of us want anybody like that among our ranks. And we won't tolerate anyone like that among our ranks.
Good for him.
You notice this was something that he did on his own by himself. But this type of behavior, any type of criminal behavior by our officers, are unethical behaviors that is knowing to us, will be looked into, will be investigated, and will be totally openly transparent with the public around.
Hey, shout out to him. This is a tough situation to handle, and CPE made a great comment in the chat. He said all his cases where he arrested a female will be overturned. They'll definitely be looked into, and that's a great point to bring up here. It's going to be a lot of fallout from what happened in this situation. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and in the chat. I'm starting to lose my voice there for a second. Thank you. We got 1,300 of y'all up in this thing showing love. Thank y'all for the support. Guys, like the video. We're not even at 50% likes. I promise you, you're going to enjoy your time here on the show. Please, just come on. Like the video, guys. Dang. Fulton County should have hired. South Fulton is not the same as Fulton County. Yeah, I agree. It's just too much to type up there. So I put Fulton County. I figured y'all would know we were talking about Atlanta. Whatever that means. Interesting question posed in the chat. When it comes to Kelsey Fitzsimmons, blue privilege, what if the other judge didn't recuse herself? Still think it would be a bench trial? Now, I threw some numbers in the chat for y'all talking about what percentage of trials in general and criminal trials go to a bench trial. It does not happen often. So I wouldn't assume a bench trial is going to happen in 90 to 95% of cases, because that's what the percentages say. So I think this was just a good opportunity for them to get this over with quickly without the theatrics, and the judge to be able to look at the facts of the case and say, hey, listen, I don't know that you guys could prove beyond a reasonable doubt what happened here, because it's he said, she said, and all I'm going based off of no body camera footage, what the officer felt like happened, what Kelsey felt like happened, and they're both saying different things happened within seconds. It's all about perception at that point, and it's hard to prove. So, yeah, that was a great judge in that case. Shout out to the judge in the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case. I think he did an excellent job. Shout out to, yeah, CPE said, see, it's not just comedic relief. That's right, CPE. He's got a little bit of substance over there. I appreciate you. All right, let's move on to our next topic. We got to talk about this. You want to talk about a clown show? We got to get into this update. Oh man, I'm gonna struggle through this. So y'all remind me in the chat if I start to go off during this segment, just tell me to chill out, because this one is really annoying, especially when kids being involved in this. And we're gonna talk about it. So we've been covering the entire situation with Taylor Frankie Paul and her entire debacle with The Bachelorette. If you don't know what happened there, she was supposed to be the star, or was the star, of this upcoming season of Bachelorette. The only reason we're talking about today is not because I really care about the show at all. It's because the legal ramifications that have happened as a result of that. There's been a back and forth because the show was canceled because a new video resurfaced of her and her ex-fiance or ex-boyfriend, or whatever you want to call him, her ex-man. We're going back and forth, and she was throwing bar stools at him. At one point, she threw a bar stool and it actually hit her kid. It was a bad situation. So the season was canceled. Disney said, we're not going to be associated with this. Taylor is actually still going to get paid because of the way this contract was structured. Obviously, she put the work in. They recorded the season. Now the season's done. She's still going to get paid her money from that. But now she's speaking out, and it's just weird to see how she's being highlighted in this case and being painted as someone as a victim after we've seen what we saw. And we're actually going to get into another video, accusations that there may be a third assault that she's going to be convicted of, or we won't say convicted of, that she's going to have to deal with. Check this out from today. Crazy.
To this half hour. We're going to start with a story that a lot of people are talking about this morning, and that's ABC pulling the plug on the new season of The Bachelorette just days before its premiere.
That decision coming after graphic new video surfaced of the show's star, Taylor Frankie Paul, in a domestic dispute with her former partner.
NBC's Liz Kreutz is in L.A. She's got
Crazy.
more on this story. Hey, Liz, morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning to you. Yeah, this could be the most dramatic season of The Bachelorette that never actually airs. Season 22 was supposed to premiere this Sunday, but ABC's parent company, Disney, now says they've decided not to move forward.
They should just
The video
leak
was
it.
recorded by Paul's ex-boyfriend, Dakota Mortensen, during a fight between them back in 2023 that unfolded in front of Paul's young daughter. We should warn you, the video may be disturbing.
Let me go.
This morning, newly released video obtained by TMZ shows the violent confrontation between reality TV star and influencer Taylor Frankie Paul and her ex Dakota Mortensen.
Your daughter is right here.
You can see Paul throwing bar stools at him while her then 5-year-old
Man, that
daughter
looks
is
like
heard
it
crying
hurt.
on the couch.
Oh my.
Shortly after the video from 2023 emerged, Disney saying, "We have made the decision to not move forward with the new season of The Bachelorette at this time, and our focus is on supporting the family." Responding to the cancellation, a spokesperson for Paul saying in part, Taylor is very grateful for ABC's support and that she's finally gaining the strength to face her accuser and taking steps to ensure that she and her children are protected from any further harm. It all
Okay, so she's handcuffing herself. Guys, again, I'm gonna try and chill out on this. But look at this comment.
read at this time, and our focus is on supporting the family.
Look at
Responding
this
to the
statement.
cancellation, a spokesperson for Paul saying in part, Taylor is very
grateful for ABC's support.
grateful for ABC's support and that she's finally gaining the
strength to face her accuser and taking steps to ensure that she and her children are protected from any further harm. I don't know how throwing okay.
strength to face her accuser and taking steps to ensure that she and her children are protected from any further harm. It all comes as Utah police confirmed this week they were investigating a separate domestic assault between Paul and Mortensen from last month, prompting questions about the future of Paul's Bachelorette season just days before its highly promoted premiere. Paul spoke out about that incident earlier this week.
I will say I've been here before and I got through it and, you know, shared my story, my light, so I'm hoping that I can do that again.
Fans of the show.
Why this chick is crazy. We're going to get into that full production that they put on interviewing this poor girl that has just been a victim of this accuser. Wow. Going on The Bachelorette while you have a boyfriend is crazy in the first place. But anyway, let's get to the legal side of things.
Show reacting to the sudden cancellation.
Bachelorette canceled, Kimmy said.
Overnight, former Bachelorette Rachel Lindsay weighing in.
This is bad for Taylor, personally. This is bad for her children. This is bad for The Bachelorette as a franchise. Because somebody's going to have to take the blame for not vetting this out.
I don't see how
Paul
they
rose to
couldn't.
fame
It's
through
insane.
her online videos dubbed Mom Talk and Hulu's reality show, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, which even showed aftermath of that 2023 domestic violence incident.
What's your name?
Taylor.
Taylor.
This morning, a rep for Paul says that TMZ video omits context and that Taylor is now seeking support and preparing to own and share her story.
Hey, we'll wait and
All
hear
right,
her
Liz,
out.
we saw that
Oh,
video.
by the way, she's already pled guilty to another assault. So we won't get into that today, but that's a note that we've addressed in the other video we did on this Taylor chick. Let's
What
keep it
else do
going.
we know about the charges that were related to that 2023 video? And what about that more recent incident that you were talking about?
Yeah, well, Hoda court documents show Taylor Frankie Paul took a plea deal in 2023 for aggravated assault and is currently on probation. The other charges, including domestic.
Guys, she took a plea deal for assault and is currently on probation. Imagine if this was a guy named Taylor. This person would be burned at the stake right now and is on The Bachelorette. She took a plea deal and is on probation. How the world did Disney miss this? What were you guys doing? I hate to do the guy girl thing, but if this were a dude, this man would have been, they would have laughed him out of the Disney studios. How is this chick on probation and on The Bachelorette? Whoa,
Violence
wow.
in the presence of a child and child abuse were dismissed. We don't know specifics about that latest incident from last month. Her ex, Dakota Mortensen, did file a restraining order yesterday. And according to 3 sources, that incident also prompted The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives to halt production. Audio obtained by NBC News reveals cast members told ABC execs they have concerns about continuing the show if Paul remains involved. Hoda.
All right, Liz, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. Let's get into this clown show. of Good Morning America standing by Taylor and just rolling out the red carpet for this convicted criminal who took a plea for assault and is on probation. Just look at the layout of this setup, guys.
To our
This
new
is
Bachelorette, the breakout star in Mom Talk and the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Taylor Frankie Paul is with us. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I want to hear all about
Thank
your Bachelorette.
I'm gonna mute my mic. I'm not gonna make it through this. Look at that. They got Taylor Frankie Paul plastered all over the background. Yo,
Ernie, but first I
what
want to
is
give you the
happening?
opportunity to respond to recent headlines about the alleged domestic violence incident with your ex-boyfriend. What do you want to share with us about this?
Honestly, it's been a heavy time to see the headlines, especially during this time of The Bachelorette being released, and it's supposed to be a really exciting time. I'm a person that will always speak my truth, and that's what I'm known for, and so when the time is right, I will be. But right now, just trying to be in the present moment and focus on this. But the thing is my kids do come first. My kids come first, and so it's been like just a back and forth process, trying to be here in the present moment, worrying about, home and headlines. It's been stressful, to be honest.
We did reach out to Dakota, and we did not, for a statement, we did not get a response from him. Now we have reports that The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives has paused production on the next season. I know there's a season on right now, and then season 5 was in production. Reports say it's paused. Is that true?
Honestly, I don't call the shots with production, so as of now, I have gotten word that it also has been paused, but I do not call those shots. So as far as I know, it was, but I don't know for how long and why.
I know you're one of the executive producers on the show.
Yeah, I got told that this year.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I didn't know, and I
Oh.
was like, what does that mean? I was like, I think just because we share our lives and we produce like our own, lives.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that necessarily what that means. Really.
And how do you envision your future on that show?
Hard to say now, right? Just because of everything going on. It's hard to see past this. I'm not going to lie. In this moment, it's just so heavy. When your life is broadcasted out there in these headlines, it's like the end of the world. That's what it feels like. I'm not going to lie. But I will say I've been here
it's public
before,
record.
and I got through it, and shared my story, my light. So I'm hoping that I can do that again.
Yeah, and you're about to share your journey with all of us.
Yeah.
On The Bachelorette, your journey looking for real love. What made you decide to do that in the midst of being one of the Mormon wives? It's taking on a lot.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Tell me about the decision to do it and why.
Well, for me, the girls had gotten the opportunity to do Dancing with the Stars, right?
Yeah.
And so I looked at that and I was like, well, if they can do it and they have kids and they are going out chasing their dreams, like, why can't I? And so maybe I was like, I want to do something that I want to do in that sense. So for me, dating as a mom of 3 is extremely difficult. So I was like, okay, so I get to go out, get away from my toxic cycle here in Utah.
Okay, I can't. Nope, I can't do it. Can't do it. Guys, listen, we've seen the other side of this. I could go through the names. Can y'all imagine? You remember what happened with Stefan Diggs? Can you imagine Stefan Diggs sitting here and they got Stefan Diggs painted on the back of here? People wanted this man's career ended. They didn't want him to play in the Super Bowl. Thankfully, he got to play in the Super Bowl. And these were just because of baseless accusations against him that a former employee made. The NFL was doing an investigation. The Patriots were doing an investigation. And people wanted this man's career over, kicked out of the NFL, never to play football again. But we got Taylor Frankie Paul up here basking in the glory of her alleged assault. It's a weird situation. We're going to talk about in the next video about this third assault that she's allegedly facing and could potentially be impactful as well. Let me know what you guys think of this BS in the comments in the chat. Shout out to y'all for hanging in there. I know this is rough. From a legal aspect, it's just so interesting to see how things play out. And then you want me to believe that man, speaking of the Kelsey Fitzsimmons trial, that there was nothing there with her being an officer. Guys, can we just be honest about this situation, please? Lord have mercy. Let's go ahead and get into it. Thank y'all for the support. TPE says my truth is double speak for my reality. That is more than likely not what happened. Yes. Great way to put it. So much salad words. She's a victim, guys. She's a victim. She's got to face the public because people found out body camera footage, what was in the public record. Oh, poor Taylor. Well, we're not done with Taylor Frankie Paul, because after this interview she did with ABC came out, it's come to find out she might be looking at and might be facing a third allegation of domestic violence. We're starting to see a little bit of a pattern here. So if you don't know, Taylor Frankie Paul was going to be, or was, the Bachelorette on the next season 15, I believe, of The Bachelorette. Disney canceled that because video came out and resurfaced of an assault that she was involved in with her boyfriend, Dakota. Now, as a result of that and other situations, she has pled guilty and took a guilty plea and is currently on probation. Whoever did background checks during this situation, I don't like to call for people being fired, but I think they definitely should have a meeting about their process of looking into the background of these people, because I don't know how they didn't find this. Either way, we're going to hear from NBC News and other sources about this third assault that she could potentially be facing and what that looks like moving forward. Good Lord.
All right, now police in Utah investigating a third domestic violence allegation against a Secret Lives of Mormon wife star. We're talking about Taylor Frankie Paul, the would-be star of the new season of the reality dating show, The Bachelorette. I remember Disney axed her season after TMZ released this video from 2023 showing her throwing chairs at her ex and her child in the room. Now Utah police investigating a totally different incident from what you just watched, telling us in an NBC exclusive that Paul's ex reached out to them last month about an alleged fight in 2024. It comes as police are still investigating another incident involving them after both sides called in with allegations last month. Paul and her ex declined our request for comment. Camilla Bernal is covering this one for us. What else, Camilla, are we learning about this alleged incident and the slew of accusations that are facing Paul?
Yeah, Yasmin. So the latest incident was reported to have happened in 2024. This is exclusive reporting from my colleague Rebecca Cohen. And what she found was that in 2024, this incident happened, but it was actually reported last month by her ex, Dakota Mortensen. And what happened here, according to the police department, is that he went to them and spoke to them about this alleged incident that happened in 2024. And
Good
what we
Lord.
know is that they have video, that they're looking into all of this. This actually was reported to the West Jordan, Utah Police Department, but they do say they have not spoken to her yet. The second incident, we do not have a date for when it happened, but it was a different police department. It was the Draper Police Department in Utah, and they actually say that in this incident, they have been able to speak to both of them about what happened here. But again, not a lot of details in terms of what exactly happened or even
we're gonna
when
get
it
into
happened.
the details.
The incident that we have the most amount of details is obviously that 2023 one that happened in February. We saw the video, you played it just in your intro, where you see her throwing the chairs, yelling and screaming. That resulted in a plea deal. There were a number of charges that she was facing. All of the child-related charges were dropped, and the only one that stayed essentially was that aggravated assault. But again, we now know
Domestic violence assault. It was dismissed with prejudice. Domestic violence criminal mischief, dismissed with prejudice. Domestic violence DV in the presence of a child, dismissed with prejudice. I don't know how that was dismissed. The video clearly shows there was domestic violence in the presence of the child. I think the only way this was dismissed is because it was just a part of the plea deal. And she said, I don't want to go through this. Just get rid of the DV in the presence of a child, and I'll plead to aggravated assault. They said, fine. Because come on.
there are 3 that police are investigating. It's still unclear what's going to result from all of this. Yasmin?
What an about face for Miss Paul in the lead up to the launch of The Bachelorette and subsequently being put on pause. Camilla Bernal, thank you.
Thank you, Camilla, because we're going to get into some more information. New audio surfaces after ABC cancels the new season of The Bachelorette, and then we'll get into the details of exactly what was going on in this third instance. Y'all listen to this.
We are back this Saturday morning with today's talker and this growing controversy all over Taylor Frankie Paul, the Secret Lives of Mormon Wife star, who was recently seen on this disturbing video. It's a violent domestic dispute with her former partner.
Her season of The Bachelorette was all set to premiere tomorrow night, but ABC abruptly pulled the plug earlier this week when that video came to light, and now the courts are getting involved.
NBC's Dana Griffin has the latest, and a warning, some of the video is hard to watch.
I give you my heart and my soul. Hold on a second.
This morning, growing fallout for Taylor Frankie Paul. A Utah court granting her ex-partner Dakota Mortensen a temporary protective order against the reality star, preventing any contact with him.
Some of the people are going home.
It comes a day after ABC abruptly pulled Paul's season of The Bachelorette, set to premiere Sunday.
Your daughter is right here.
After TMZ published this video of a violent 2023 altercation where Paul is hurling bar stools at Mortensen.
Oh my.
According to court records, Paul took a plea deal for aggravated assault, which would be reduced if she abided by the agreement. That included not breaking any laws. Neither Paul nor Mortensen have commented on the protective order, but Paul's rep tells NBC News the TMZ video omits context, and she is currently exploring all of her options, seeking support and preparing to own and share her story.
And I went crazy.
Paul addressing the incident on this 2023 podcast.
I was trying to attack him, and I assaulted him.
Police in Utah say they're investigating another alleged domestic assault involving Paul.
Oh, man. It's not even double standards at this point. I don't know how this is happening. How are we still even talking about this and this person just not being canceled? Absolutely canceled. I don't know.
Mortensen from last month. That investigation comes amid a pause in filming of the 5th season of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, sources say. NBC News obtaining audio of a March 7th meeting between ABC executives and the cast who expressed concerns about filming with Paul. Several referencing distressing and upsetting video recordings of Paul's alleged conduct, but did not tell the contents of them or play them in the meeting.
Here we
go.
go.
The perception in the audio is that the cast is feeling frustrated a little bit and unheard. My source with knowledge of the conversation says that the ABC executives on the call were a little bit hamstrung because they were not allowed to talk about this ongoing investigation.
Meanwhile, ABC has never pulled an entire season of The Bachelorette from air, leading to questions about the franchise's future. ABC will air a rerun of American Idol tomorrow night instead of the premiere of The Bachelorette. Peter, Laura.
Our thanks to Dana Griffin for that one. The idea.
Well, let's get to what TMZ has about this. Dakota reports third domestic violence incident to the police. Yes, he did. Another bombshell in the ongoing Taylor Frankie Paul saga. The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives star is under investigation for an alleged third domestic violence incident. Are we surprised? Nope. Taylor's ex, Dakota Mortensen, went to the West Jordan Police Department. By the way, if you guys visit Utah, West Jordan, South Jordan, beautiful place in Utah. I'll just point that out. Now, police department in Utah last month, accusing Taylor of abusing him in an alleged early to mid 2024 dispute. TMZ has confirmed this. West Jordan detectives have reviewed the video and are working to verify the details and are, quote, interviewing the parties involved. We're told that Taylor and Dakota are cooperating with the ongoing investigation. No charges have been filed. As you know, TFP pled guilty to aggravated assault following a fight with Dakota in 2023, which was captured on video. We published the video last week, and her season of The Bachelorette was canceled hours afterward. TMZ broke the story when TFP, Taylor Frankie Paul, became embroiled in another messy situation with sources connected to the series told us there was a heated fight between her and Dakota while shooting The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives in season 5. That show has since been paused and has paused filming. The third accusation comes while TFP is still on probation from her 2023 assault case. Guys, what else can you say from this? Hey, men could be victims too, okay? I don't know. Is Dakota a true victim in this? We haven't heard all the information. I mean, she already pled guilty to assault, so we know that Taylor is an assaulter or whatever you call them. So let me know what you guys think in the comments in the chat. Listen, man, I'm sick of this BS. How does this happen? How does this happen? This is insane. All right, let's keep it moving. We got some more content to get into. And thank y'all for the super chats. I will be reading super chats at the end of the show. So make sure y'all hang in there. We've got another interesting story for y'all. This one is actually somewhat humorous as well. Don't know why it went this far, but we'll get into the situation. Lawyer spazzing out in court and being arrested. You don't see this every day. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Shout out to Amy for breaking this news. We've got to talk about the attorney that was berating a judge in court, got held in contempt in court, and then was arrested and also ended up closing down his law practice. Yeah, this situation gets crazy. We're going to play the full video for y'all. Thank you to Amy for sending this over. If you don't follow her on X, make sure you do that at IAmyLee on X. That's at IAMYLEIGH on X. And she says this: the video captures a highly contentious courtroom interaction between the judge and attorney Rob Hopkins, which escalates into a physical confrontation and the attorney's arrest. The tension starts when the judge asks Hopkins to follow specific procedures for a request, including filing forms at the clerk's office. Hopkins, frustrated by previous delays and jurisdictional issues regarding his client's child, becomes argumentative. The judge repeatedly tells him to stop and warns him that he will be held in direct contempt of court if he continues to interrupt. Also, before we get into the video, there's some more information about this. This lawyer and attorney is from Oklahoma, and Rob Hopkins is also, being held on $25,000 bond, by the way, according to the Oklahoma Post. So let's get into the video so y'all can see what happened and what went down.
I pointed you to the exact paragraph. It's her education.
Stop
Because you don't want to hear
what
the argument is.
Stop. You interrupt me one more time, you are being held in direct contempt of court, and
Yes,
you can
ma'am.
wipe that smirk off.
I don't
your
have a
face.
smirk on my face.
Oh, yes, you do.
I do not.
I am not going to tolerate this from you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Fill out the request, get the form from our court clerk's office on the second floor, make sure it comports with what you've got already, get it filed, mailed in, whatever you need to do. Let us assess her request. If it's
My client's not seen her child. There is no order in this court, and there's been no jurisdiction found that this court has jurisdiction over this child who has never lived in your county. Never lived. I did not. There was a pause. There was a break. I wasn't done with my argument.
And I was not done with my statement. You interrupted again. Do not throw your...
I did not throw. It fell off the bench. Please stop stating things that are not true, ma'am.
Sir, you've got a room full of witnesses.
I do. I put it down. I did. I put it down and it fell down. I did not fall.
Then settle down.
I'm not upset and I'm not arguing. You're not letting me make an argument. I'm not red in the face, ma'am. I'm not.
Stop. Our court
He's super
reporter
red.
don't get what we're both saying.
Thanks.
I am trying to make my argument. You interrupted my argument halfway through
This
on
is
an
a panic button
objection.
that will get every available deputy in
Yes, ma'am, I'm aware. It's happened to
You're
me before.
interrupting. It has.
Yes.
Because you're out of line
Yeah,
with court.
I guess so.
Okay. If I push that
Or maybe
button-
because I'm a transgender attorney practicing all over the state.
I don't know what you are.
You do, ma'am. It's not that you do.
She said, I don't know what you are. Oh.
I don't know whether
You do,
you're
ma'am. You
transgender,
do. You
other
do.
than you have just now
No,
advised me,
ma'am,
and
you
that
do.
doesn't have
You
anything
do.
to do
It's
with
happened when we
anything.
talked on the phone.
That wasn't talking, let me tell you. You were entirely inappropriate.
You were
and
yelling
more
at
so
me, and I
than-
did not even know you were the judge.
And I didn't know you from Adam.
I
at
said,
that
my name
point.
is Rob Hopkins. I'm
Which
an
doesn't
attorney
mean
in
anything.
Oklahoma City.
No, sir, you did not.
Okay.
Okay?
There's no one there to know that, right?
Okay.
come
So
on.
we are pausing this
Rein it
until
in.
you get the ADA request form filled out and it gets processed.
So we're going to pause the hearing on jurisdiction that's been set twice. I drove an hour and a half to have the hearing. My client's available telephonically, and we are simply not even taking testimony.
Is your client available telephonically?
Yes, ma'am.
today?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then get her on the phone.
Thank you.
Your Honor, to which we would object. This is as clear as the nose on my face that this woman will not appear before this court because she has a warrant for stealing her
Objection,
children
you're
from
saying
another
that's
court.
not true. And you're ready
You
to
will find, sir, that you
Don't at me and
It's over me.
or shout at me.
I'm not putting it on. No, we're stopping.
Get out of my face, sir. Get out of my face, sir.
You may step
Get
out.
out of my face.
You should leave this county.
Get out of my face. Get out of my
These
face.
people are my friends, and you're being ugly.
And get out of my face.
Put your hands behind your back.
Why?
Because you're in direct contempt of court. No
He
taking
shouted
it.
at me. No, I'm not being. You did not even say that I was in
You are
contempt.
in direct.
No, I'm not
Judge,
doing
I
my stuff.
apologize, but I felt very threatened by this person.
No,
Not the
it's
screaming and the yelling in court, I've never even heard that before in this courtroom.
Wait.
Do not hurt me. Do not hurt me.
Your hands behind your back.
Do not. You're throwing me over the.
Stop resisting.
I'm not resisting.
Okay. Put your hands behind your back. Stop
You
resisting.
know exactly what's happening.
Don't you all walk that way sometimes?
I can't walk. I'm being thrown down.
Just settle down, walk that way.
No.
Settle down. Do not grab me. Do not grab me. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You're hurting me. You're hurting me. You just kick me. You just kick me. Don't kick me. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Put your hands behind your
I
back.
cannot breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't move. Help! Somebody call 911. Please. 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 Ow! 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 Ow!
Life could be so simple, couldn't it? Hey, I'll give $100 to the person who can go back and accurately count how many times that I've said, just don't resist. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to give you $100.
Somebody call 911! Somebody call 911! Somebody call...
I got your phone now.
No! No!
All right, we're gonna pick you up. Roll on the
No, I don't. Get a female officer now! Get a female officer now! Get a female officer now!
There aren't any.
Wait, what? All right, I wasn't going to bring this up. And guys, I'm going to be honest. I didn't watch this full video just because I couldn't make it either without breaking down laughing or deal with the screaming. But this person who is going by Rob used to be Robin and is now asking for a female officer. How does that work? I don't know. I'm gonna need the trans community's help on this one. I mean, are we? I don't want to get into that whole thing. Are we male? Are we female? What are we doing? What do you need a female officer for?
I can't get up. I can't see. He just threw my glasses. I can't see. Give me my glasses. Put them on my face. No. Put them on my face. I cannot see.
No.
No. Please give me my glasses. I cannot see.
Get a female officer for what?
I'm not trying to walk and I cannot see. I need my wallet.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks, guys.
I'm trying to walk.
I bet the trans community is annoyed about this one. What do we get a female officer for you, Rob? Hey, I wasn't going to read this, but I'm reading it. Trans lawyer at a hearing in Oklahoma is arrested for contempt of court after arguing with the judge on February 5th. It gets messy. Rob Hopkins, formerly known as Robin, by the way, was told by the judge, "Stop. You're interrupting me more than one time, and you are being held in direct contempt of court, and you can wipe that smirk off your face." Then it came to this point in the video, which we just watched. The judge said, "We're stopping." And the law officer came over. Hopkins, a biological woman, apparently. I don't know how that. Anyway, she physically resisted and screamed repeatedly, "I can't breathe." She also, I don't know if we're calling her he or she at this point. Listen, this is Rob's fault. All right, trans community, y'all do not try and cancel me and get upset with me at this point. He was up there talking about being Rob and then asked for a female officer. So if I don't know whether to call Rob he or she, y'all get that pronoun BS out of here. It's not my fault. All right. So Rob then transformed into Robin and said that he or she needs a female officer. You see where I'm going with this? And then Hopkins, of course, reportedly held on the $25,000 bond, according to the Oklahoma Post. Y'all got to stop with this, man. Hey, pick a side, trans community. If y'all going to do it, at least be consistent. All right. And then we have the transgender attorney who was tackled to the ground after getting into an argument with an Oklahoma City judge, has closed their own, LGBTQ law firm. Rob Hopkins says that Hopkins Law and Associates is closed down following the incident. Wow, that's crazy. At this time, it is the right move for me to step away. I think so. We are closing our doors, but we would like to thank you all for your kindness, support, and most of all, your loyalty for the past 13 years. Good Lord. The law firm announced this on Facebook. We've got body cam footage as well. Check this out.
All right, we're gonna pick you up. We're on your
No,
side.
no, I don't. Get a female officer now. Get a female officer now.
I'm sorry, that gets me every time. Why go through all that trouble of transitioning and then ask for a female officer? God, come on, bro.
All right, we're gonna pick you up. We're on your
No,
side.
no, I don't. Get a female officer now. Get a female officer now.
Get up.
Get a female officer now.
All right, Sammy.
Not too late. You're Rob now.
I can't get up. I can't see. He just threw my glasses. I can't see. Give me my glasses. Put them on my face.
No.
Put them on my face. I cannot see.
Sit up. Go.
Oh, come on,
Please
man.
give me my glasses. I cannot see. I'm trying to walk and I cannot see.
We'll walk you.
I need my wallet.
Judge said take him to jail
OT
when we
right
took his
now.
work. And then if I were on.
At this time, it is the right move for me to step away. As many of you all heard, there was an incident that took place in another county, a rural county, and there are more details of that incident, and I can't release that at this time. And being as that, I believe that I first have grounds for discrimination lawsuit there in that county, but for my physical safety at this time, it's best that I step away. And for my family's physical safety, it's best that I step away. And for all of you wondering if I'm moving, I'm not moving. I'm from South Texas. I can't live in one of those states like Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Minnesota. I wasn't built for that. So I'm not going to leave the great state of Oklahoma. I will work, and people are, well, what are you going to do now, Rob? You know, I'll let you know. But like I've told everybody, I know that I am created in his image. I know that there is a bigger plan for me. I know that I will always land on my feet, and whatever I have to do is to make ends meet and to survive out there, I will. For all of you worried about my mental health, thank you so much. I appreciate those thoughts and prayers and good wishes and good vibes. I've got a team of wonderful doctors. You can't go through what I can, both medically and psychologically, without being medically cleared.
With all due respect, Rob/Robin, we were worried and concerned about your mental health before this went down. Hey, listen, start a YouTube channel, start a podcast. I'm sure you'll have a ton of support and make lots of money, and people want to hear your take and your story from your unique experience. So go out there, get some YouTube money. I think Rob/Robin, you'll be fine. Amy also posted this and more screenshots. Rob Hopkins, the Oklahoma attorney recently arrested for contempt of court, has officially announced the closure of his LGBTQ plus XYRZ focused practice, Hopkins Law and Associates. The decision follows a high-profile confrontation in Potomac County. Excuse me, guys, if I pronounced that wrong. The closure stems from a volatile exchange with the presiding judge that resulted in Hopkins being taken into custody during the proceedings. Hopkins was cited for repeatedly interrupting the judge, After resisting the court deputies, Hopkins was physically removed from the courtroom. During the confrontation, Hopkins reportedly invoked his transgender status as a part of the exchange. I refuse to let y'all get away with this, transgender community. No, we're not doing that, and it's not right. Y'all got to pick. Dang. If we're going to do this, you got to pick one. After 13 years in operation, the firm's social media shared a farewell message to its clients. We don't care. All right, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments in the chat. I'm sure there's some 10-13% of the population that's going to be outraged by my mockery in this video. But again, it's not really about that. It wasn't even made. I didn't bring it up until Rob/Robin did. So it's Rob's fault /Robin's. So again, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments in the chat. Oh, they're going to cancel me for this one. I can't help it. Listen, we got to hold people accountable. We can't just I don't care if you're trans, black, female, male. I'm going to hold y'all accountable. You can't have it both ways in any of these situations. Are we going to call it out? Rob/Robin. Well, that's like a superpower. The trans community is walking around with superpowers over there. They get the transform, according to Rob, whenever they feel like it. I need a female officer. For what, bro? Oh my gosh. All right. Let's get into this topic. We're going to get into, oh my goodness. Okay, we got time. We're good. Shout out to y'all, man. We got 1,400. How many of y'all up in here? 1,300 of y'all, and half of you have liked the video. Thank you guys. Who is the client? Someone who deserves a refund. I'm not sure, but it's sad to see. That's a good question though. Sad to see. Not sure who the client is because we had to watch that Ish show. A shame. We got to talk about the 2020 election. I know some of you might be sick of talking about the 2020 election, but this is very important because video has resurfaced of this man named Joe Caldwell and his involvement in the 2020 election right here in Georgia, right here in Fulton County, and what he saw and what happened. Now, this man was actually working with the voting system and working here in Fulton County and in Georgia when the entire situation went down in 2020. He's going to give some inside information and background into what went down. You guys listen to this, and we'll talk about a little bit of what happened to Joel after he came out and gave this information. Check it out.
The ballots at the dome, it was all counting the ballots, and they told them that it was a leak on the opposite side of the dome. Everybody needed to evacuate. So then when they all left, the Democrats went back in and started counting, and the Republicans went back to the headquarters.
So he's talking about this whole water main leak that happened while they were counting ballots. Democrats stayed, of course, and he's saying the Republicans left because they're like, we're not going back in there. Well, what else happened?
You know that for a fact?
That's what happened. Yeah.
They made it seem like nothing like they legitimately had leak issues.
Yeah, so they had said it was leak issues. So you see them on the video putting everything up, and they left. No, they did. They put someone putting stuff up, and then you see them leave.
Wow.
And they was out in the parking lot when I guess they told them they could come back in. Or they was out in the parking lot and they was gonna go back to headquarters. And so the Republicans left, the Republican watchers, they all left. And so after they left, the Democrats went back in there and started counting. So that's the videotape. You see them when they're walking back in, pulling the shit out from underneath the tables, and during that hour. And then the other part was that when they were counting, I think during that hour, that stretch of that, it was only like less than 100 votes was counted for Trump.
Wow.
And just statistically, you're downtown, there's going to be more than 100 votes for Trump. That's what happened in 2020, because that's when the ballots, and they started stuffing them ballots, and people stuffing them ballots, and they got videotape of them. But nobody talks about it.
So he's saying when they came back in, there were only a couple hundred votes for Donald Trump, and he thought that was weird because, especially considering the location they were at downtown.
That's why Trump been making that big deal about it, because you see it on videotape. It's like, come on, you see a man pull up and put 100 ballots in his box. know, you can't do that shit. So groups is paying people to do just that. Drop off ballots, go around, collect ballots, collect absentee ballots, drop them off.
How did that even
forge them?
Where, okay, so if you're paying someone, I'm not trying to do this, trust me, but if you're a group and you're paying someone to pick up the absentee ballots, do people take their absentee ballots to the orgs and then the orgs distribute the pay? That's confusing. It doesn't make sense.
No, it's like, let's say you're my canvasser, I tell you to go around and pick up these absentee ballots from this area. You know, you go pick them all up and drop them off in the box. No different. I pay every week like a canvasser. You just get paid like a canvasser. You know, you're on the clock for however many hours, driving around, picking up absentee ballots and putting them in ballot boxes.
What information do you need to actually know that these are certain areas that have a lot of absentee ballots?
I mean, when that's the case, you would just have to have, you would either have to reach it, like some groups was reaching out to the folks beforehand, so they were passing them out to other people and then coming back and getting them all. Going down to a senior house, give everybody a ballot, come back and collect all their ballots and turn it in on. And then you take the ballots and then drop them off.
And then the groups would have whoever, the canvassers go and pick them up and then take them straight.
You can't do that. That's the illegal part. So think about it like this: if we're going to steal an election, let's say Georgia, this is the perfect example. We're going to steal an election here. You're not going to go to the outside of the Democratic Party, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to go outside of Atlanta or outside the metro Atlanta and change the numbers in the Republican counties, right?
Wow.
That should just be too obvious. Change the numbers in your home. You can fluctuate these numbers because it'll just look the same.
It makes more sense to do it in Atlanta.
It hides better.
So they're saying the reason they picked this location to do all this BS is because it's gonna be easy. It would be easier to hide, and they'd have a higher probability of getting away with making sure that things lean more towards the left side than the right. Wow.
So like if somebody's coming behind you and saying, well, you've been stealing votes, the first place they're gonna look is in the outline counties where it's red. Don't change those numbers, right? Because then it'll flip that county that's always been red to blue.
Which will raise the flag.
Which will raise that flag. Okay. If you come here to the city where it's already 1.5 million voters, and then you just increase the numbers of your already places that you want. So you want to inflate the numbers that you already have versus trying to go to a red area and inflate those numbers, because that would just obviously look wild,
So you need to start playing in 4 years in advance.
You're trying to steal the election. Yeah, because you got to get a lot.
Dude, it makes sense, but after 2016,
you got to pay a lot. You got to pay a lot of people to get in the pockets. A lot of people, people that you got to get.
So who was paying them?
You got to get, everybody got to get a piece somewhere. Everybody got to get paid. Canvassers, ballot counters, the people who run the drop boxes, the election officials. We got all of that on somebody's payroll. Or a kickback or something somewhere. In the movie, they didn't.
So this goes into another date where he's talking about this again. More information about what happened during the 2020 election.
In the documentary, they never said what groups. They just said investigations was being launched into different so they never mentioned.
They didn't name the orgs.
They didn't name the orgs, but they
all this is
so I just always been waiting on that to drop, because I was like, well, yeah, they're gonna do an investigation, and they got the evidence, because they were showing that in the documentary, the closed caption TVs of people pulling up. Like, I told somebody when I got to the office, because one of the cars in the video I recognized, because they always at the building.
Who was it?
Oh, I don't know. I think it was a union member or something.
Probably.
But that was like when I first started. They just had one of them weird cars that stood out. And I was like, I know who that. I was like, yeah, that's rare.
That's when you was up there all the time, though, too.
Yeah, that's when I first started, so I don't know who car that really was. But
are they still up there?
After I told them, I never saw the car again.
Dude, that's so crazy. I'm telling you, this dude kind of looks like you. I was like, hold on. When I seen that, when they sent me that picture, I was like, that better not be him.
No, oh hell.
I was like,
no.
But no.
But yeah, I knew they were doing stuff like that though. Because that's how they did. That's how they got one of the mayors in. They was dropping ballots in the boxes and stuff. Normally, how they
around here?
Yeah, in Metro Atlanta for the mayor's race in Atlanta.
So they were doing it for the mayor's race too. He's saying, "What? I wonder what ended up happening to Joel." We'll have to see if we can reach out to him and possibly get him here if he can to talk about this. Because speaking of what happened, Steven Crowder actually was reporting on this at the time it went down. And he had an update in this situation that was interesting. He said, Joel Caldwell, the political operative that detailed the potentially illegal Democratic dirty work used to rig elections, was fired from his job at GCP Agenda after this recording went viral. And who are we talking about? This is the Georgia Coalition for the People's Agenda. They've got their website here and everything. And interestingly enough, he was fired. Now, do we know why he was fired? More information about that. We're going to do some research and find out for you guys. Let me know what you think about this in the comments in the chat. This is resurfacing for a reason. I wanted to look into it because this is a lot of where the information about what happened in 2020 came from. And we're seeing evidence now that actually points to exactly what Joel was talking about in this interview. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you again to everybody in here. Appreciate y'all. All of y'all stopping by as well. We got one more topic into this that I think you all will find interesting. And this one's actually not being talked about a lot, which is unfortunate. Let me double check and make sure I've got this right. Because this story, when it comes to Harry Waite, there's a couple sides to this one. And I'm going to give you guys both sides and let you be the judge on what you think happened here. So we'll get into it here in a second. And then I'll read super chats here shortly as we talk about what's going on with Harry Waite. Harry Waite is out there in Wisconsin. And this man, as you can see from the headline, has been found guilty of 3 counts of absentee ballot fraud. Now, we're going to get into the details of this. There's been a lot of back and forth about the controversy here in this case. And if this man is actually, if he actually committed this fraud, or if he's just being used as an example for anyone who's looking to and investigating what's going on with the voting. Check this out. The story out of Wisconsin isn't getting nearly enough attention. Conservative activist Harry Waite went on myvote.wi.gov to request absentee ballots from Wisconsin Assembly Speaker Robin Vos and Rancy Mayor, hopefully I'm saying this right, Corey Mason, to his own home. He didn't need an ID or any information other than the name and birthday. It proved how messed up election processes are across the nation, but they say mainly in Wisconsin, and Harry might go to jail now as a consequence of proving it. Well, Mark Cook had to chime in on this as well. We've covered and talked about Mark Cook's work when it's come to the voting here across our nation. And he says, if you live in this state that prosecutes those who expose lies and crimes, then your state is run by criminals. That means each one of you will need to act accordingly, or you all, he says, will be their victim. Get busy. So let's get into the story and find out what actually happened in this Harry Waite case. Check it out.
We're following breaking news to start the news at 10 tonight. The verdict is in for a man charged in an election fraud case in Racine County.
Harry Waite is found guilty on 2 misdemeanor counts of voter fraud and 1 felony count of identity theft. Now let's get right out to Jason Calvi, who just spoke to Waite. Jason?
Bria, yeah, the jury deliberated for more than 3 hours. This was a 2-day trial, and just a few moments ago, that verdict came down. Take a listen.
Dang.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Harry Waite, not guilty of unauthorized use of an individual's personal identifying information concerning Robin Vos, as charged in count 1 of the information, dated this 24th day of March, signed by the presiding juror. We, the jury, find the defendant, Harry Waite, guilty of election fraud concerning Robin Voss's ballot as charged in count 2 of the information dated this 24th day of March 2026, signed by the presiding juror.
So then there were counts 3 and 4 that dealt with felony identity theft and misdemeanor voter fraud, all against Mayor Corey Mason here in Racine, and those 2 charges he was found guilty of. This is a case that dates back to 2022. Back then, Harry Waite admitted that he requested the absentee ballots of the Assembly Speaker Robin Voss, as well as Racine's Mayor Corey Mason. And he went in to the state's online WIS voter page and requested those ballots for them. He said his goal was to save the republic and show that there were vulnerabilities and gaps in the state's election system. After these guilty verdicts came down, we spoke directly to Harry Waite. Here's what he told me.
I'm not disappointed in the verdict. I put the jurors in a very hard spot because I admitted I ordered the 2 ballots. And I admitted that I was not Robin Voss or Corey Mason. And, I wanted to test the system. I did test it. I did return their ballots unopened. And, this is what you get sometimes when you're in the fight.
And so he basically essentially did this as a part of his investigation, trying to prove that the system was messed up. And it was super easy. The folks that we have on the channel about voter rolls and if they're needed and how they're needed in general. Might be an extreme take, but we need to have the conversation because the fact that he was able to get access to this is kind of wild. We'll keep it going.
The prosecution was the Department of Justice here in Wisconsin. Assistant Attorney Generals were arguing the case against Harry Waite, and they alleged that he knew what he was doing, that it was a crime. It was clearly a crime, they said, and therefore he should have been found guilty. But the jury came back during their 3-hour-plus deliberations and had a couple of questions related to the identity theft felony charges against Harry Waite. If you look at the statute, if you look at the state law regarding that identity theft statute, state law, it says that you do that in order to be charged. You'd have to do it in order to get something of value. So the question that the jury wanted answered was, is notoriety something of value? Because again, as he testified on the stand today, he said he didn't get anything of value out of this, but the prosecution said otherwise. Guys, back to you in the studio.
Wow.
Well, Jason, we are now in another election cycle. My question is, what message do you think this sends to potential copycats out there?
Well, it shows that if you violate the law, you risk being charged and being convicted. If Waite was convicted of all 4 charges, he would have risked the possibility of up to 13 years behind bars. Now he has 1 felony and 2 misdemeanor convictions, so he could serve time more than 6 or 7 years in jail or prison.
Good grief. Well, there's more information about this. And when it comes to the decision in Harry Waite's case, I want to know what you guys think. Should he have been held accountable for this? Or, I mean, is this just someone who's looks like they're trying to get silence because they want to uncover the truth? Check this out.
Breaking news from Racine County. Let's listen to Harry Waite.
Word out to WEC that they're corrupt, and you will just see the Harry's armor continue to grow. And I'm not disappointed in the verdict. I put the jurors in a very hard spot because I admitted I ordered the 2 ballots, and I admitted that I was not Robin Voss or Corey Mason. And, I wanted to test the system. I did test it. I did return their ballots unopened. And, this is what you get sometimes when you're in the fight.
If you were in that jury room, what would you have decided tonight?
Tough question I put them in because I admitted to guilt that I ordered the ballots. So, I put the jurors in a very tough position, and I don't begrudge them one bit.
We heard a couple of hypotheticals. Robin Voss said you can't start a fire to prove that the fire department doesn't come. Can't rob a bank and give the money back. Does that ring true to you? Could you have done this without committing a crime?
That's true.
Yes, but I wouldn't have gotten the attention that we gotten to push forward.
So let me ask you about that.
Do you guys think the risk was worth it? Do you think the risk was worth it in this case? He got the attention, but he was risking a felony, misdemeanor. I don't know.
You've said you've had no regrets. I mean, you talked about you
did this knowing that this would be the potential outcome?
When you poke the bear, you get that type of outcome. Yes, I would do it again.
But to test the system, did you, in hindsight, think there could have been a better way to try to challenge what you believe the system wasn't working? 2020
is always very clear. When you look back. So would I do things different? I said I'd do the same thing over again. I tested the system failed, and being part of the being convicted for this, like I said, I don't hold the jurors responsible for this. I am what I am.
Are you planning to appeal this decision?
That'll be up to my attorney, but yes.
Will you ask anybody? Let me ask you this: will you ask the governor or the president can't pardon you? It's not a federal crime, but would you ask the governor to consider pardoning you on this?
I won't waste my time on Tony Evers. He's not a good man.
Dang!
Worry about the prospect
this guy does not care.
Sure, I'm concerned about it. Worried? No, but am I concerned about it? Of course. But I didn't live my whole life doing what I do. This is one of the ramifications of poking the bear. You got to accept the responsibility of that.
You talked about getting it.
Yeah, again, I mean, was it wise? I don't think it was wise. There's probably another way that you could do this, but he did make this point, and we're talking about it, and we're going to continue to talk about the election integrity, guys, because I think it's so important. Even if you're not into politics, this really isn't a political issue. It's more about a legal issue and what the law allows and how the law is being abused and blatantly disregarded, even as we've seen here in multiple instances in Fulton County. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments and in the chat. Thank y'all for the love. Shout out to everybody who was up in here throughout the entirety of today's show. How are y'all liking the live streams? We've been going a little bit longer on the live stream these days, so I'm having a good time. I enjoy it. Hopefully y'all do as well. Make sure you guys stay tuned in. We've got some great interviews coming up next week. We got a couple of interviews that we'll be doing next week. I guess I'll break the news for those of y'all, the couple thousand of y'all that are still hanging out with us. We've got LA Pink is coming on the show next week. That's going to be fun. That's going to be a great interview. So make sure you stay tuned in for that. We've got a couple other guests we're going to talk about moving forward as well. So make sure y'all stay tuned in. If you haven't yet subscribed, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time that we go live. Shout out to my beautiful, awesome, amazing Amy E is in here gifting 5 memberships. If you got a membership from Amy, please make sure you say thank you, show her some love. Also, check out the members only content we have here on the channel, and your name's highlighted in that beautiful green. Excuse me. You also get instant access to all of the videos that we have on the channel. Even when we've got them posted and scheduled, you'll still get to get those immediately. You don't have to wait, which is amazing. Thank you, Amy, for the love, and thank you for everything that you do. We've also got Kelly Berg in here dropping the 10 bomb, says happy Friday, y'all. So happy for her. Now get that baby back and therapy. Yep. Shout out and congratulations to Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Definitely much deserved. And I'm glad that she beat this case, because the whole thing is a little weird. I won't say that it shouldn't have been brought, because as she admitted, pulling a gun while the police is there executing their duties, probably not the best idea. Either way, we'll get into it. Thank y'all for the love. Hope y'all have a great rest of your weekend. If you haven't yet, please make sure you like the video on your way out. It's free. Helps us out a lot. As always, y'all know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace. Appreciate you.